Are you about to block someone who hurt you? Stop right there. The next few minutes could completely change how you handle painful relationships forever. This isn't about forgiving the unforgivable, but understanding the exact moment that determines whether you should let go or give another chance. It all begins with a truth few people understand. Blocking someone isn't an emotional decision, it's a strategic one. When you block someone out of pain, anger, or revenge, you're not closing a chapter. You're extending an invisible cord that keeps you tied to that person. Think about it for a moment. How many times have you blocked someone and then checked their profile from another account? How many times have you imagined their reaction when they discovered you blocked them? How many times have you fantasized about them desperately trying to reach you through other means? Louise Hay explained it brilliantly. When we react from pain, we perpetuate the cycle of suffering. Every time you make a decision based on an intense negative emotion, you're not exercising your power, you're giving it away. Because in that moment, your action doesn't come from you. It comes from what that person made you feel. But what happens when you shift your focus? Imagine this situation. Someone has deeply hurt you, your finger is hovering over the block button, you feel the adrenaline, your heart racing, that mix of pain and momentary power. And then, you breathe. You put down your phone. You do nothing for 24 hours. You simply observe your emotions without acting on them. In that space, in that silence, is where you find your true power. Let's do a quick exercise. Close your eyes for 5 seconds and think about the last person you blocked or were about to block. Now ask yourself, did I do it to protect my peace or to send a message? If it was the latter, the blocking didn't come from your power but from your wound. Repeat after me. My decisions come from my center, not from my wounds. Once more. My decisions come from my center, not from my wounds. When you learn to decide from a place of calm rather than emotional turmoil, everything changes. You no longer need blocking as a weapon, but as a tool for peace. And here's the difference. Blocking as a weapon keeps you tied. Blocking as a tool sets you free. If you're looking to truly transform your relationship with others and yourself, stay until the end, because I'll share with you the exact method that has helped thousands of women make decisions that truly empower them, not decisions that chain them to cycles of pain. And before we continue, if this message is already resonating with you, hit that notification bell right now to receive more content that will transform how you handle your relationships. Your peace of mind deserves that small action. Now let's dive deeper into the second crucial point to understand when it's the right time to cut ties with someone who has hurt you. Most people make this decision based solely on what the other person did, but few stop to analyze what's happening inside themselves. And this is the error that keeps you trapped in repetitive cycles. When someone hurts you, before deciding whether to block them or not, you need to identify what's being triggered within you. Louise Hay always emphasized that people who cause intense reactions in us are mirrors of unresolved parts within ourselves. It's no coincidence that certain actions from a specific person provoke such a visceral reaction in you, while the same situation might not affect someone else as much. The key is to ask yourself, what old wound is being touched here? Is it abandonment, rejection, the feeling of not being enough? Because when you understand which part of you is being activated, you can separate what's really happening in the present from what you've been carrying for years. Imagine this. Your partner forgot to call when they said they would. You immediately feel disproportionate anger, anxiety that seems to consume you. If you block them in that moment, you're not blocking just because of that missed call. You're blocking because of all the times someone important didn't keep their word to you, perhaps since your childhood. Here's a transformative exercise. Next time you feel the intense impulse to block someone, take a piece of paper and write, "This reminds me of when," and let your hand complete the sentence. Many times you'll discover that your current reaction is connected to past experiences that have nothing to do with the person in front of you. This doesn't mean you should tolerate harmful behaviors. On the contrary, it means that when you make the decision to distance someone from your life, you'll do it from clarity, not from emotional confusion. Because blocking from confusion almost always leads to unblocking and repeating the cycle over and over again. Have you found yourself unblocking and blocking the same person multiple times? That pattern is the clearest sign that the decision wasn't born from your center, but from your emotional storm. Louise Hay taught us something profoundly transformative. The point of power is always in the present moment. When you learn to pause, breathe, and distinguish between your past history and your present reality, you reclaim that power. You no longer react automatically, you respond consciously. And here's the truth many don't want to hear. Sometimes the problem isn't the other person, but the relationship you've created with the pain they caused you. You cling to that pain because it gives you an identity, a purpose, a story to tell. But that story keeps you prisoner. Ask yourself right now, am I holding on to this pain because I'm afraid of who I would be without it? Because often we define ourselves so much by our wounds that the idea of healing scares us. Who will I be if I'm no longer the hurt person, the victim, the abandoned one? You'll be free. You'll be powerful. You'll be the creator of your life instead of just reacting to others' actions. If you've made it this far and feel this message is transforming your perspective, share this video with that friend you know is going through a difficult time with a toxic relationship. Sometimes the right message at the right time can save years of unnecessary pain. And that brings us to our next point. The exact moment to make the decision to block someone definitively, that turning point that many women confuse and end up prolonging relationships that drain their energy and joy. There is a precise moment, a turning point in every relationship where the universe shows you with total clarity whether you should continue or cut ties completely. But most women overlook these signs because they're looking in the wrong place. It's not when they hurt you once, it's not when they fail you twice. It's when you observe a consistent pattern that shows you who that person really is, beyond their words and promises. Louise Hay expressed it with profound simplicity. Pay attention to patterns, not isolated incidents. An incident can be a mistake, but a pattern is a revelation of someone's true character. So what is that key moment? It's when, after clearly communicating your boundaries, after expressing how certain behavior affects you, the person consciously decides to repeat the action they know hurts you. In that moment, you're not dealing with a mistake, you're facing a deliberate decision. Many women wait until the 5th, 10th, or 20th time someone crosses their boundaries to finally block them. But the truth is that clarity was there from the second time. The second time someone consciously decides to hurt you, knowing the effect it will have on you, they're showing you something fundamental about who they are and how they value you. Think about your last painful relationship. How many chances did you give after the patterns were already evident? How many explanations did you create in your mind to justify the unjustifiable? They're going through a difficult time. They don't know how to express their emotions. They had a complicated childhood. All might be true, but none justify continuous harm toward you. Let's do an honesty exercise. Think about that person who has repeatedly hurt you. Now, imagine your best friend, your sister, or your daughter was in exactly the same situation with someone like that. What would you advise her? Would you tell her to stay and give more chances, or would you tell her to walk away and protect herself? It's fascinating how we can see with total clarity when it comes to protecting those we love, but create 1,000 excuses when it comes to protecting ourselves. Louise Hay said, "How you treat yourself is how you teach others to treat you." Every time you allow someone to cross your boundaries without consequences, you're sending a powerful message, not just to that person, but to the universe. It's okay to treat me this way. And the universe, being the faithful mirror that it is, will send you more situations and people that reflect that belief. Here lies an uncomfortable but liberating truth. Blocking someone isn't so much about punishing them as it is about honoring yourself. It's not an act of revenge, it's an act of self-love. It's telling the universe, this is what I accept in my life and this is what I don't. But there's something more, something few people understand about the real power of establishing firm boundaries. When you block someone who has consistently shown they don't respect you, you're not just protecting yourself. you're also giving that person the opportunity to face the consequences of their actions. And sometimes, those consequences are the only catalyst for real change. Have you noticed how some people only value what they lose? As long as you remain available, as long as you keep giving infinite chances, there's no real incentive to change. Blocking, when done from a place of clarity and not from revenge, can be the most compassionate act both for you and for the person who hurt you. Repeat after me. My boundaries are not punishments for others. They are honors to myself. Once more, my boundaries are not punishments for others. They are honors to myself. This perspective completely transforms the energy with which you block someone. You no longer do it with anger, with pain, or with the secret hope that they'll suffer from losing you. You do it with serenity, with the quiet certainty that you're honoring your path and allowing others to honor theirs, even if those paths must separate. If this message is resonating deeply with you, if you feel it's exactly what you needed to hear at this moment in your life, take a moment to subscribe to this channel. Every week we share practical tools to transform your relationships and connect with your inner power. And that brings us to our next point, the internal process you must complete before blocking someone if you want to ensure that decision is truly liberating and not just another link in the chain of pain. What I'm about to share with you could be the difference between truly freeing yourself or simply changing the form of your emotional prison. Because there's an essential internal process you must complete before blocking someone if you want that act to be truly healing. Most people physically block someone without having first blocked them energetically, and that's why, even though the person disappears from their social networks or their phone, they still occupy an enormous space in their thoughts, their conversations, their emotions. Louise Hay taught us that what we resist persists. When you block someone while still carrying resentment, unprocessed pain, or unanswered questions, you're not closing that chapter. You're freezing it in time, preserving all that negative energy intact within you. The true liberation process begins long before you touch that block button. It begins with what I call the 3 essential forgivenesses. The first forgiveness is toward the other person, not for what they did to you, but for not being who you needed them to be. This is a deep forgiveness that recognizes that each person can only give you what they have to give at their current level of consciousness. Some people simply don't have the capacity to love you the way you deserve, not because you're not worth that love, but because they haven't developed that capacity. Imagine asking someone who has never studied medicine to perform complex surgery on you. It would be absurd to get angry when they inevitably fail. In the same way, some people simply don't have the emotional tools to build healthy relationships. This doesn't justify the harm they caused, but it helps you see it from a more compassionate and less personal perspective. The second forgiveness is toward yourself, for all the signs you ignored, for the times you put someone else's needs above your well-being, for the boundaries you didn't establish in time. This forgiveness is crucial because it transforms the painful experience into a valuable lesson. And the third forgiveness, perhaps the most powerful, is toward the situation itself. It's accepting that this experience, however painful it may have been, had a purpose in your journey. It has taught you something about yourself that you couldn't have learned any other way. It has strengthened emotional muscles you didn't know you needed to develop. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to emerge strengthened from toxic relationships, while others remain trapped in resentment for years? The difference lies precisely in these 3 forgivenesses. The first group transforms pain into wisdom. The second converts pain into identity. Let's do a practical exercise. Close your eyes for a moment and think about that person who has hurt you. Now, instead of focusing on what they did to you, ask yourself, what did this experience teach me about myself? What strengths did I discover that I didn't know I had? What boundaries did I learn to establish? When you can find the gift in the pain, that pain loses its power over you. You no longer need to block it. You simply integrate it as a valuable part of your story. Louise Hay had a powerful phrase that transformed my own relationship with painful experiences. The past has no power over me in the present moment. When you block someone without having fully processed the experience, you're trying to bury something that's still alive. And what you bury alive always finds a way to resurface, usually in the form of repetitive patterns in new relationships. Have you noticed how some women seem to attract the same type of toxic people over and over again, just with different faces? That happens when we physically block without having completed the energetic blocking, when we try to close doors that energetically remain open. The real power is in completing this internal process before making the external decision. Because when you block someone having fully processed the experience, you don't do it from the wound, but from healing. You don't do it because it still affects you, but precisely because it no longer affects you. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you're truly ready to block someone, from a place of inner peace and clarity, you often discover that you no longer need to do it. The person loses that magnetic power over your thoughts and emotions. They go from being a dominant presence in your mind to simply being someone you met on your path. Repeat after me this affirmation. I release the past with love and embrace my future with confidence. Once more. I release the past with love and embrace my future with confidence. Do you feel that shift in energy? That's the sensation of freedom that comes when blocking stems from clarity and not from pain. It's the kind of decision you don't need to question afterward, because you know in every cell of your being that you're honoring your path. If you feel this message is transforming your perspective on your past and future relationships, give this video a like so it can reach more women who need to hear these words today. And that brings us to our next point. The unmistakable sign that indicates it's the perfect time to block someone. That internal sensation that once you recognize it, will never let you make a mistake in making this decision again. There is an internal indicator, a subtle but unmistakable sign that reveals when the perfect moment has come to block someone. It's not an external sign. It doesn't depend on what the other person does or doesn't do. It's a sensation within you, a clarity that emerges when you're truly ready. Louise Hay described it as that moment when you no longer need the other person to change for you to be okay. It's a state of serenity, where that person's behavior no longer has the power to emotionally destabilize you. Think of it this way. When you truly need to block someone, you know it without any doubt. There's no internal tug of war, no little voice asking, "Am I doing the right thing?" No need to consult with all your friends to validate your decision. There's a quiet certainty, a peace that comes from knowing you're acting in alignment with your highest truth. The unmistakable sign is this. When the idea of blocking someone no longer arises from the need to protect yourself from the pain they cause, but from the simple recognition that that energy no longer belongs in your life. It's like when you clean out your closet and get rid of clothes that no longer fit, not out of resentment toward that garment, but from the clarity that it's no longer part of who you are now. Have you ever felt that lightness, that quiet certainty when making an important decision? It's as if your entire being said yes in unison, without conflict, without doubt. Let's do an exercise to help you identify this signal in yourself. Close your eyes and think about that person you're considering blocking. Now, imagine two scenarios. In the first, you block them today. Visualize how you would feel tomorrow upon waking, knowing that person no longer has access to you. Is there anxiety, relief, doubts, or is there a sensation of complete peace? In the second scenario, imagine you decide not to block them yet, but you establish an internal boundary where their presence no longer affects you. Their messages, their posts, their actions no longer have the power to alter your day. How does that feel? Is it a constant struggle or does it come naturally? The answer to these questions will reveal whether you're acting from reactivity or from clarity. Because the perfect moment to block someone is when doing it, or not doing it no longer, fundamentally changes your inner peace. It's when your well-being no longer depends on their absence. Louise Hay taught us that the point of power is always in the present. When you can be in the presence of something that used to hurt you without feeling that pain with the same intensity, you have reclaimed your power. You no longer need that person to disappear from your life for you to feel complete and at peace. Wonderful irony, the ideal moment to block someone is when you no longer need it to protect yourself, but simply to honor the new space you've created in your life. It's when blocking stops being a shield and becomes a simple preference, like choosing who you spend your time with and who you don't. And here comes a truth that few people understand. Sometimes the act of blocking isn't for the other person, it's for you. It's a closing ritual, a way to tell your subconscious, this chapter is complete. It's not a hostile act. It's an act of honesty with yourself. There's an immense energetic difference between blocking someone thinking, this will teach you, and blocking someone thinking, this honors me. The first keeps the energetic cord intact, the second cuts it completely. And what happens when you block from this place of clarity and peace? Something magical occurs. The space that person occupied in your life, in your thoughts, in your emotions, becomes fertile ground for new experiences that truly reflect who you've become. Nature abhors a vacuum. When you create space by removing what no longer resonates with you, the universe responds by bringing people and situations that are in alignment with your new frequency. But this process only occurs when the space is truly liberated, not when it's occupied by unresolved resentments or hopes. Repeat after me this powerful declaration. I carefully choose the energies I allow in my life. Once more. I carefully choose the energies I allow in my life. This simple declaration, when you truly incorporate it, completely transforms the way you relate to others. It's no longer about who deserves to be in your life or who doesn't. It's about which energies contribute to your growth and which don't. If you feel this message deeply resonates with something you're going through right now, share this video with someone who might need to hear these words today. Sometimes, the right message at the right time can completely change the course of a life. And to close, let's integrate everything we've learned about this key moment to decide whether to block someone or not. Because when you apply these principles, you not only transform your external relationships, but your entire relationship with yourself. If you've made it this far, you now know that blocking someone isn't a decision you should make from emotional impulse, but from a place of deep inner clarity. You've learned that the perfect moment to do it is when you no longer need the other person to change or disappear for you to be at peace. You've discovered that before physically blocking someone, you need to complete the internal process of liberation through the 3 essential forgivenesses. But there's one last truth you need to integrate. A truth that Louise Hay shared with the world and that has the power to transform not just this decision but your entire life. What I affirm for myself, I affirm for everyone. When you establish healthy boundaries, when you honor your energetic space, when you consciously choose what to allow in your life and what not to, you're not just respecting yourself, you're elevating the standard for all your relationships. Imagine a world where every woman had this clarity, where each of us knew exactly when to hold on and when to let go, when to give another chance, and when to definitively close the door. Not from fear or lack, but from self-love and abundance. Wouldn't that be a silent but profound revolution? Every time you make a conscious decision about who has access to your energy, you're contributing to that revolution. You're showing the world how a woman who values herself should be treated. You're teaching by example, not by words. And here's the final secret. When you reach this level of clarity and respect for yourself, you no longer attract people you need to block. It's as if your energy field had a natural filter that only allows entry to those who can honor who you are. Toxic relationships begin to seem as strange to you as wearing clothes 3 sizes too small. They simply no longer fit the person you've become. This is the true power of understanding the key moment to decide. It's not just about this particular decision. It's about the woman you become when you make decisions from your center instead of from your wounds. Let's do one final exercise to seal this transformation. Close your eyes and visualize the woman you would be if you made every decision in your relationships from a place of self-love, clarity, and inner peace. How would that woman walk? How would she speak? What kind of energy would she radiate? What kind of relationships would she naturally attract? That woman is not an unattainable ideal. That woman is you when you choose consciously. That woman is waiting for you to decide to become her, decision after decision, day after day. Repeat after me this powerful affirmation from Louise Hay that has transformed the lives of millions of women around the world. I am willing to change. I choose thoughts that make me feel good. I love and approve of myself exactly as I am. If this message has resonated in your heart, if you feel these words came to you at the exact moment you needed them, I want you to leave a comment below saying, I choose to honor my energetic space and only allow relationships that reflect my worth. This simple act of public declaration is powerful. It's a way to commit to yourself in front of a community of women who are on the same path. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to receive more content that will help you transform your relationships from the inside out. Share this video with that friend you know is struggling with the decision to stay in or walk away from a relationship that no longer nourishes her. Always remember, the power isn't in blocking or not blocking. The power is in making that decision from a place of such clarity and self-love that, whatever your choice, you know you're honoring your path. Because when you honor yourself, the entire universe conspires to honor you too.